As you guys know, I posted my Holding Myself Accountable video, and in that video talked about how basically two guys had come forward with stories on social media about how I had inappropriate contact with them when they were under the age of 18. Now, when this was all going on, my first reaction was to be super upset because I did mention in that video that they had lied to me about their age and that I absolutely did not groom them. And my first reaction was to post a no more lies style of video debunking everything and fighting back and everything. And then I really had to sit down and reflect and look back at myself and my actions and things that had happened. And I really realized that at the end of the day, as the adult and the person with the platform, it was 1000% my responsibility to be doing my due diligence and checking into the people that I was speaking to, and I failed to do that. And that really, really sucks. And that's why I uploaded that video, because I felt as though it was really important for me to hold myself accountable, give people an explanation as to what went down, and most importantly, apologize to the people that were actually affected by my actions. One of the responses that I saw quite a lot on social media and in the comments of that video was a lot of people felt like I felt like this is just another James Charles scandal that I could easily move on from like nothing ever happened. And I really feel as though it's important for me to just address right away that that is absolutely not the case in any way, shape, or form, and that could not be further from the truth. First of all, I feel like calling this a scandal in the first place is just not an appropriate word to be using with this situation. There's no denying that I've been in my fair share of scandals online, but using that word with this situation just feels really, really wrong. And it really feels like it's making light of what actually happened, and I don't want to do that. I definitely have not been taking this lightly. If I thought that this was just some stupid scandal that I can move on from, I would not have uploaded my last video and I would be posting on social media like nothing ever happened. But this has been the worst but most important wake-up call of my entire life for a lot of different reasons, and this is by far the most embarrassing thing to ever happen to me. I mean, if you guys have been following for a while now, you all know what happened in 2019. I'm definitely not going to get into that, but you know, when that all happened, I was accused of something that I did not do, and I was able to prove it all wrong, but I did recognize that I needed to make changes, and I uploaded a video making a lot of promises to my audience and to the public that I was going to work on myself behind the scenes, and I did. I spent 2 years, you know, changing my behavior, changing the way that I went about dating and flirting with guys. I worked on rebuilding my brand and my social media presence, and now, 2 years later, that this is happening again, even though the situations are not connected, even though it's a different thing, it really looks as though I have made no progress. I haven't listened, I haven't learned, and that sucks so much. I really feel like I let down myself. I feel like I let down my team, my friends, my followers, everybody who has been by my side supporting me and even defending me over the past 2 years from everything that went down beforehand. I now feel as though I have made to look stupid, and that is quite literally the most crushing, embarrassing feeling in the entire world. And I said it in my last video, but I will say it again to everybody close to me, to all my friends, my family, my fans. I am so sorry for disappointing you guys and letting you down once again. You know, as scary as it is to think about, I've also come to terms with the fact that this isn't just something that I can move on from. I am aware that, you know, no matter what I say in this video or 10 videos down the line or a year's worth of videos down the line, these stories and accusations are going to follow me for the rest of my life and the rest of my career, and that sucks so much it's not even funny, and it's so horrifying and embarrassing. But at the end of the day, it's my own fault and my own responsibility to, you know, take accountability for what I did. I want to be held accountable for what I did do. And all I can hope is that whether it be, you know, weeks, months, years down the line, I'm able to showcase my growth in the person that I really, really am. Now, like I said, obviously I have absolutely no problem holding myself accountable for things that I did do, but I also do think as creators, or not even really creators, as human beings, we should also be able to defend ourselves on things that we didn't do. Now, when I posted my last video, Holding Myself Accountable, I mentioned that I was going to be taking a break from social media for a while and wouldn't be responding to anything. And quite a lot of people took advantage of my time away and really ran wild with all sorts of stories and videos and allegations that made this situation a lot worse. I do want to take some time in this video today to just shed some light and further information on some stories, you know, that either did or did not happen and that I saw being spread on social media while I was gone, because I think it's really important that you guys have the full picture of what actually went down. There was basically one drama channel on Twitter that started a thread and started compiling a list of anybody that said literally anything about me on social media. And after what felt like weeks of somebody new coming forward every single day, it eventually became the 20 victims of James Charles. I am not going to go through this list one by one because I know that nobody wants to sit here for an hour listening to me talk about this, but I do feel as though I have to say something because I am just not comfortable with this video or really any video moving forward allowing anybody, let alone my followers, to think that there are any victims of James Charles, let alone 20 victims of James Charles, because that is completely, unequivocally not true. Now, when I say that literally anything and everything was being added to this list, I really do mean anything and everything. There were a few different influencers from TikTok that slid into my DMs, or I slid into their DMs and had a 5-minute conversation with them until asking their age or sexuality and then completely stopped responding. There were guys that I matched with on Tinder last year and they had their ages set to 18 or 19, so I talked to them and flirted with them for a while because that's the whole point of an adult dating app, until I realized that they were lying, so I blocked them and nothing further happened. One of my own friends is on that list simply because we filmed a TikTok together when he was 18, and the drama channel that was posting this just decided that I groomed him. There's a guy from my high school on that list because he made a video about me, and as annoying as it was, at least in his video, he fully said that it was completely consensual, that we were both grown adults, and that he was only posting it for clout. I can at least appreciate the honesty, but the problem is when it was reported on Twitter, it was a fan comes forward about James Charles forcing him to do blah, 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 which is just so far from what was even said by the person that actually made the video in the first place. But the worst part about all of this is that on top of all of those situations, there were countless videos posted that were completely fake. I'm not talking about somebody unsent a message or somebody took something out of context. I'm talking about conversations that fully never happened, that were edited from beginning to end. Now, to be fair, there were several other drama channels and even news outlets and reporters that were calling out this person for knowingly posting fake stories and information time and time and time again. And I am really, really appreciative of that. But the problem is we are such a headline-driven society that people don't see that information being corrected or, being taken down. All they see is that initial headline, which literally said the 20 victims of James Charles, and that's the information that sticks with them. When more and more things were being added to this list, the one response that I saw over and over and over again was that there's a pattern here. James keeps saying that he's the victim. He keeps saying that these people are lying to him or taking advantage of him. All these people can't be working together, and where there's smoke, there's fire, so obviously something is going on. And I 1,000,000% understand exactly why people are saying that, because if I was on the outside, I'd be saying the same exact thing. It looks so suspicious. I kept thinking, why does this keep happening to me? What am I doing wrong? Why can't I just find somebody who likes me for me? But I finally realized, and like I talked about in my last video, I was allowing myself to be so easily accessible to literally anybody who wanted to give me attention and have a conversation for 5 minutes, because I was so delusional in thinking that the conversation can't hurt. Maybe it'll actually lead to me finding, the one. When in reality, of course, statistically, that does make sense. If you talk to more people, it, I guess, increases your chances of being able to find a potential partner. But at the same time, I wasn't realizing that that also increases my chances of finding somebody not great that doesn't want to talk to me for the right reasons and that might lie or take advantage of me. And that is nobody's fault other than my own. That being said, though, there is a second pattern that's happening here that I really do feel like a lot of people aren't seeing, and I feel as though it's important for me to point out. And that pattern is that if you make a video about me, your experience dating or talking to me, whatever it may be, whether it's completely real or completely fake, it will go viral on social media. Now, I am not saying that to boost my own ego and beat my chest and act like I am so important and so famous. It really is just the reality of the situation. If you look at the people's profiles who have posted this content, all of their videos have 1,000 views, 2,000 views, maybe 10,000, but then all of a sudden, my experience with James Charles, whether it be completely real or completely fake, has 6 million views. And at this point, it's literally become a trend to post screenshots of conversations, not just with me, but with everybody. And at this point, dare I even say, a meme to post your experience talking to James Charles. Now, once again, I recognize that this is my own fault. I wish more than anything I could go back in time and stop myself from making all those jokes about straight guys years ago and talking about dating and how I was single and how I wanted a boyfriend so badly. I wish more than anything that I kept that private. Unfortunately, at this point, there's nothing that I can do about that other than just be better moving forward. But at the same time, I'm still a human being that deserves privacy and respect like everybody else. It's one thing to have a super innocent and casual 5-minute conversation with somebody on Instagram DMs or a dating app, and then to scroll on your For You page an hour later and see every single message that was sent. It already feels really, really violating and dehumanizing, but at the same time, once again, it's my own fault, and that's just what happens with having a platform. But now we've gotten to a point where people are completely faking conversations from beginning to end that contain incriminating content, and they're going really, really viral, and nobody thinks twice about them or knows what to believe. And that's what's so horrifying about this trend, and it has to stop. And when speaking of this, I think it's really important for me to clarify as well that in no way, shape, or form am I trying to invalidate victims or victim blame or victimize myself either. When I posted my last video, I recognized that although I was not guilty of what I was being accused of, I was not innocent in general and did need to make a lot of changes and apologize moving forward. So I'm not trying to invalidate any of those people, but at the same time, you can't be a victim of something that did not happen. And with all these people making completely fake conversations and screenshots and posting videos of a 5-minute conversation just to get attention and clout and likes and go viral on social media to add to this crazy narrative, all it does is discredit and disrespect the people that were actually affected in the first place. And it waters down the severity of the issue and the situation going on. But it also discourages people from being able to come forward in the future, because when it's so easy to Photoshop and edit these conversations from beginning to end, nobody's going to know what to believe. And that is a really, really dangerous situation. The last thing that I kind of want to talk about is that I know when I upload this video, there's going to be a lot of people that say, okay, cool, James, you said this before, so where's your receipts and your screenshots to back it up? And that's totally valid, but I'm going to let you guys know right now that I am not going to be including any in today's video. And I could sit here and say that that is because I'm trying to be the bigger person and grow and not get involved in tea or drama anymore, and that would be true, but the real reason why I'm not including screenshots in today's video is because I don't have them. I know that I kind of became like known for that after No More Lies, but that was such a different situation where I had months and months worth of texts and DMs that I could super easily pull together a timeline and prove my innocence. Whereas in these situations, for the ones that were real at least, these interactions lasted for 5 minutes, an hour, a few days at maximum, and I just wasn't sitting there taking photos of everything that was being said. You know, I do have some receipts that I definitely think would help, but I'm also gonna be honest and say that there's several situations that I don't have any sort of receipts for, especially not the conversations that were completely fake, and I really don't wanna leave anything on the table. You know, no matter what sort of receipts or screenshots or proof that I include or share online, there's always going to be a group of people that refuse to believe it because the narrative and the drama and the tea is simply more fun and more entertaining. And that really, really sucks. But, you know, I know the person that I am. I know what I've done. I know what I have not done. And I know what I need to work on. And all I can hope is that there will always be people out there who are willing to let other human beings learn and grow from their mistakes. And I just really look forward to hopefully showing that in the future. You know, speaking of learning and growing, the last thing that I just want to briefly discuss before we move on to a more lighthearted subject is I would love to just take a few minutes of your guys' time and talk a little bit about the progress that I made and the conclusions that I have come to over the past couple of months, because I promised that I would do that in my last video and I feel like I owe it to you guys. Whenever anybody apologizes, personally, I always think it's really important to not only apologize, but also to be able to explain that you understand how what you did was wrong and why it affected somebody and how you're not going to do it again in the future. So when I uploaded my last video, I talked a lot about how I was desperate and coming to terms with that. And looking back now, that was not the right word to use. It became quite a meme and a trend online, and I totally understand why. That was not supposed to be an excuse for anything that happened at all. I was simply trying to explain to you guys that I finally understood why I kept getting into this position over and over and over again, and how it was my own fault and nobody else's. I really was convinced that I was able to live this like Hannah Montana double life fantasy where I could be James Charles, the internet persona beauty guru during the day, but then later on I could wipe my makeup off, get in normal clothes, and talk to people on Instagram DMs or on a dating app, or even hang out with somebody and have them see me as James Dickinson. And looking back now, I am so angry with myself that I was ever this delusional to think that it was possible. It's a lovely thought and a lovely idea, but the reality is they're the same person. And until I gave somebody the opportunity and the time to get to know me and my heart and my soul, they were always going to see me as James Charles, because that's what I put out there on my platform to millions and millions of people. And I just wasn't understanding this, but now I finally do. In my last video, I mentioned that moving forward, I was going to be asking every single person that I spoke to for IDs to make sure that this never ever happened again. And that's already something that I've been doing and has been working great. But it's now clear to me more than ever that I need to be doing so much more to protect myself and my brand and my privacy and safety, most importantly, as well. And these are all things that I've learned from making mistakes. Everything that I've learned about dating in terms of protecting myself and red flags to look out for has been through experiencing something and not wanting that to happen again. I got called out for flirting with straight guys, so I stopped allowing myself to be a science experiment. I've been on dates before where guys have tried to take pictures of me on the DL, so it's now gotten to a point where a lot of times when somebody comes over, I'll ask them to leave their phone at the front door. I've even been in situations where I had a guy over and I asked him to leave because he made me uncomfortable uncomfortable and he hit me, which was horrifying. But I learned from that, and I now never have anybody over without my roommates being home. God forbid anything happens. Now, I'm not bringing any of that up to ask for sympathy or act like woe is me. Once again, I recognize that these type of things can happen when you have a platform. It's up to me to protect myself and make sure that I am not allowing myself to be so easily accessible to let those people in the first place. But I'm simply bringing it up to say that it's really complicated, and these are all things that I've learned over time, and I'm still learning and will forever be learning to be the best version of myself or the best potential boyfriend in the future. Speaking of the future, I really don't know what that is going to look like. Like I mentioned, I am going to be so much more careful moving forward with every single person that I talk to or interact with, but that doesn't mean that I still don't want to find my right person just like everybody else. I just don't exactly know how to go about that yet, but I'm gonna figure it out as I go. You know, one of the really interesting things to me was when this was all happening, a lot of people were saying like, he shouldn't be DMing people, he needs to be on this app, or he shouldn't be on this app, he needs to do this, he needs to do this. I've been on Tinder and Hinge, but I've had people either lie or take screenshots, and my account is currently banned on both of those apps for catfishing as myself. I had a Raya account, which is like the celebrity dating app, but even conversations from there got leaked a couple of weeks ago, and they declined my request to rejoin. There have been so many people too saying, he just needs to give up and date a celebrity. You guys, trust me when I say I would literally love nothing more. Oh my God, if that option were on the table, trust me, it would have been taken a long time ago. The idea of dating somebody that's in LA, that has a busy but flexible schedule, that understands my life, that has money so that I don't have to pay for everything, that I can film videos with or walk red carpets with, like, hello, that is literally a dream come true. Oh my God. The problem is the list of 20 to 25-year-old queer men that are also in the public eye with a large following is just really small. And I'm friends with almost everybody that is on that list. So it's really just not an option. You know, I don't know who my perfect person is going to be or how I'm going to go about meeting them. I do know that I'm going to be way more careful and way more patient moving forward, but I still want to be able to talk to new people, meet new people, and have experiences just like every human being does, and find love like every human being deserves. And of course, when that happens one day, I would love to share that with you guys. But until that happens, unfortunately, no matter how careful I am, I'm most likely still gonna run into people that will always value likes or making a video over somebody's privacy and feelings. And that sucks. All I can do is just learn from that situation and figure out how to better protect myself and be more careful moving forward. And that, I promise, is exactly what I'm gonna be doing.